Okay, so hello and welcome to another interview in our series, Making the Right Moves. In this series, as you know, we are talking to women who have successfully raised funds for their business. And we'll be asking them about their journey, how they did it, and the lessons they've learned along the way. So today, I have the great pleasure to introduce Shawna Rollins, the CEO of Delicious Treats. They're based in Barbados. It's a fast food restaurant, the only one of its kind in the Caribbean that serves healthy options. And furthermore, Shawna is looking to franchise this restaurant all over the Caribbean and indeed beyond. So thank you for joining me, Shawna, and welcome to the program.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Good, so let's jump right in. So Shawna, tell me a little bit about why you started Delicious Treats.
Delicious Treats started years ago when I worked at a former fast food restaurant. And back then, my former boss asked me, Shawna, the customers are asking to prepare some sandwiches. Can you prepare what we call in Barbados flying fish cutters? It's a traditional sandwich in a salt bread with lettuce and tomato. And we love it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how Delicious Treats began. I started with 3 flying fish cutters, sandwiches, and they took off. From there, it went to, they sold out the first day. I did more the second day. And I just started doing more and more different types, ham and cheese and tuna and cheese. And that is how Delicious Treats was conceptualized.
So basically, is it just sandwiches or you have other things?
Delicious Treats began with just sandwiches, but all Delicious Treats has evolved to so many other things we have on our menu. We carry desserts, we carry pastries, we do soups, we do salads, we do wraps, we do paninis. Delicious Treats has taken on a whole new minor concept of its own.
You're making me hungry now, so definitely. So tell me a bit about the company. I think it's 10 years old. And why did you decide to franchise?
We're more than 10 years. We're over 15 years now.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're 15 years old. Great. So why franchising?
Because customers started coming and asking who owns the space where we are. It's a kiosk, it's small, but we tried our best to do the best with what we have. And customers started coming asking who designed the space. They love the layout and they would be interested in running something like this. Mm-hmm. Many customers who come to our hospital for surgeries for different reasons. I remember a lady from St. Kitts, she came down every morning and she would ask and she kept saying, these things are delicious. This would do good in St. Kitts. And then I had another customer, a couple, a husband and wife, who actually came and said, can you teach us how to run an establishment like this? I said, well, sure, I've been doing it for many years. So franchising wasn't something that I just chose out of the hat. It was different customers who kept coming and asking that we would do good in Trinidad, we would do good in Jamaica. And that is when I started to do my research, because I was like, I can't be at all these different locations and on my own and run them. I'm only one person. Mm-hmm. So in doing my research, I came across a franchise international show in New York. And I decided that I'm going to attend that show. I sacrificed, I saved $100 for an entire year. And that is how I was able to attend my first franchise international show. And from being at that show, a whole new world of franchising was opened up to me. Mm-hmm. I met franchise owners. I met franchise consultants. I sat in sessions with attorneys. They usually call it the A's to Z's of franchising at the shows. There's nothing that isn't covered. There's not a topic that isn't covered at these shows. And I made that decision from attending that show that franchising would be the perfect route for Delicious Treats.
Right. So where are you in that process now? I know you want to expand to other islands, but have you concluded contracts with franchisees at this point, or you're just now pivoting to that?
We have finished the franchising process. We finished last year. And now we attended a franchise show last year, September, in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. And we have what we call leads. So we are basically in discussions with some of the leads at the moment.
Now, are these leads local, Caribbean, or they're US based?
US based.
US based. That's interesting. So, so how exactly? So we say you would be opening a branch of Delicious Treats in Miami, for example.
Yes.
Is that the thinking?
Yes. But at the franchise show, we had people from all over the Caribbean. And the response is really well. Even from the Caribbean, people ask if we're coming to Jamaica, Guyana. So the response has still been well from the Caribbean. But remember, in Miami, we have a large amount of the diaspora.
Right.
So because of that as well, Miami would be a very good place to open a location. Because
So tell me a bit about the financing end of things. I know that you started 15 years ago, as you mentioned. How did you fund the business? You expanded, you said you started with sandwiches, now you have a full range, a full menu. How did you fund that scaling?
When we started, I used my own funds, family, also my family, they also injected funds. But then as we grew more and more, I went to my local credit union here, and I received a loan to open my location here. So a credit union is a good fit for small to medium enterprise businesses. I think it's a really great fit. The interest payments are obviously much more affordable, and I paid back that loan. So yeah, I think a credit union is an option. Also, I had family, as I said before, that invested, reinvesting funds as well. And then after that, I franchised and I approached a local organization here called BIDC Export Barbados. And I picked, my journey and the business and everything. And I was able to receive grant funding because of that.
Well, so the grant funding was to do what specifically?
Finish the process of franchising, which is already done.
So I'm not familiar much with the franchising process. So you have to take a course. Just walk us through that.
Okay, so how is it is done? When I attended the first franchise international shows, there are persons that are called franchise consultants. And those are the persons that you walk through the process. You pay them, and they go through the entire process with you. Obviously, you have to really know your business well. You have to know your business well because basically it's documenting everything that you do. So what we do at Delicious Treats, not only our menus, but our systems, our operating systems, and there's something called a franchise disclosure document. It is a legal document. And these documents could be ranging from 1 to 100 and something, 200 and something pages. But it is a document that protects both the franchisor and the franchisee.
So you needed funding to pay the consultant to help you through that process?
Yes. I made the first payment in October of 2019, but then COVID came.
Right.
Yeah, so everything was at a standstill, and I went to do a course, invested in myself at University of the West Indies here. And the lady at the faculty started asking me about the business and what I do. And I shared with her that I begun the process of franchising, but because of COVID, funds are no longer there for me to afford it. And she said, you need to speak to the CEO of this organization, BIDC Export Barbados. I never knew of the organization, but I never knew of the CEO. And I reached out to him. I had a meeting with him and his entire team. And they were very impressed at the stage that I was at in franchising. And they made a commitment to offer grant funding to Delicious Streets on this journey of franchising.
Excellent, excellent. So you've had a combination of self-funding through your own funds and family and friends, but also grants and loans.
Yes.
So where are you in terms of financing the business at this point? I know you have one location. Are you thinking of expanding to another one in Barbados or not?
Most definitely, yes. I already am looking at another key location, which I don't want to say where, but I'm already definitely looking at another location, and I'm in the process. I've already begun funding now at a local funding agency here for the franchise.
Okay, so is this going to be a loan?
Yes.
It's going to be a loan. Okay. Right. So interesting. So for those of the folks who are listening who don't understand how the franchising works, can you explain what it does for you in terms of financing? Can you explain the process?
Franchising is definitely a viable option to raise capital.
Mm-hmm.
And when a person, they call it a potential franchisee, buys into your franchise,
Mm-hmm.
they have to pay you upfront. Not only do they have to pay you upfront, but they have to pay you royalty, a certain percentage. You can calculate it weekly or bi-weekly or monthly.
Of their revenue.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is phenomenal, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go to a bank every time you need to get something for your business. You have an easier way, a much more better way of not only raising capital, but with franchising. I always say it's not you alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not you alone. It's a team.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were saying, the Caribbean, 3 or 4 heads are better than one.
True.
So when you have a team working together, it is so much better. You don't have to do it alone, because many entrepreneurs, and for many years, I've had to do it alone. And sometimes it can be frustrating. Some entrepreneurs give up, and it can be very lonely. But with franchising, you have an entire team. And what I love about franchising, there's support. When I tell you support, there is support for every aspect of your journey. I am already in a franchise mastermind group. I am already in franchise groups with other franchise owners. That way I can ask any questions, I can learn, because the stronger the support, the better, the more successful you can become.
Right.
In franchise. Right.
So you're saying even before you actually close deals with the potential franchisees, you said you have a couple of deals out there. Yeah. You're already in a network with experienced franchisees behind you.
Exactly. And what I love about this is there is no fear of sharing information. None.
Because you're not competing. You're not competing.
Exactly. It's like we're sharing information. Like you can ask any question, and you don't have to worry about, someone not wanting to ask the question. Because I found that even when I was trying here in the Caribbean to find a mentor in franchising, even before I even started the process of anything, I couldn't find a mentor. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find a mentor in franchising.
That's interesting, because there are several, there are franchises, of US companies. Exactly. And I would have thought that you would be able to find some support there.
I couldn't find, I did many programs, and even my facilitators tried to find franchise coaches, mentors, and maybe couldn't find any. So then I had to go out. And that is how, the franchising community get to know them. And that is how, it was for me. It might be different for someone else, but that has been my experience on my journey.
Well, I think the international network is very important, because many businesses, women-owned businesses in particular, one of the issues is having sort of smaller networks compared to male-owned businesses. And maybe it's a hesitancy to approach people. I'm not sure what the reason is, but it seems to me that a lot of women are challenged in trying to plug into those networks. So I think you're fortunate in being able to access an international network, right off the bat.
Yes, I would say so too. But what I want to, implore to upon entrepreneurs is that you have to make the sacrifice and you have to invest in yourself. Because if you want to attract even grant funding, you have to say to yourself, where do I need to be at that level to attract any type of funding? So for me, I went out there and I put in the necessary work that was required so that when an opportunity came, I was ahead. I already was
ready.
ahead. So when I sat before the team, they was like, you already have everything in place. They didn't have to go and do any work.
You had your systems in place, you had your financials in place, et cetera, et cetera. That's very, very important. Very, very important.
So, so as entrepreneurs, we have to invest in ourselves and constantly grow so that as things change and the world has changed since COVID, that we can position ourselves to receive, even if it is a loan grant funding, that we are in a position to receive.
Let me ask you, this is very good advice. Let me ask you this. What are some of the things you've learned through this process? I mean, obviously, to be ready and prepared and have your ducks lined up, both in terms of systems and financials and so on. But any other lessons that you'd like to share?
What I would like to share is know the financial landscape, know what is going on, know the interest rates, know what the terms and the conditions are. So that way, you would be able to better make an informed decision what best suits you for the stage that you are at. Credit unions are really great. There's SBAs, there's smaller places that you can get loans if you are at that stage, but you must be informed about what is out there. Definitely know what is out there. And as I said before, I bootstrapped. I did what I needed to do to get to the next phase. So don't sit down and think that organizations are out there waiting on you as an entrepreneur. You have to get out there. You have to believe in yourself and know who you are and where you are going and have a vision. I'm not saying that you not have to tweak it, but I'm saying you have to have a vision. You have to know who you are and where you're going, because nobody's going to invest in you if you are doubting Thomas and you don't know what you are doing.
No, I hear you, because you said you saved $100, I guess, a month for a year, a week to be able to attend this conference. So it takes a lot of focus and determination to do that, regardless of what competing things in terms of what you want to buy or investing. Put that money aside, right? Because you had a goal.
Exactly. Focus and sacrifice. Because even after I attended, I remember I was sharing with someone and they asked who sponsored me to attend the event. And I was like, I sponsored myself. And I said it so boldly and proud. I was like, I sponsored myself.
So what was the reaction?
They were shocked. They were shocked. They were bowled over.
Well, you see, that's good. Because I think a lot of times that, women entrepreneurs are not seen as serious, right? In some quarters. And, it's good when you can shock and surprise folks who have a certain concept of you as an entrepreneur. So that was very, very good. So what is your big vision, Shawna, for Delicious Treats?
I am so happy you asked me that question. I'm really excited about the next phase.
Okay.
Selling franchises. I am so getting prepared for that next phase. I'm in that phase right now, and I am in webinars every week. I am preparing to sell franchises. That's the phase I'm in right now. That's the direction we are heading in, and also getting the right team together as well. Because that is a process. You don't wake up one day and get the right team. So I'm working on that as well behind the scenes, but that and selling franchise. That is where I'm at right now.
So I was correct when I said at the very beginning that you want to be regional and international, right?
Yes.
I was spot on. Okay.
Oh God.
Because I made an assumption. So I'm glad to know I'm correct. But I want to touch on one thing. It's not finance, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about the team. You saying the right team is very important. And so can you talk a little bit about that? What do you mean? What sort of
Yes.
team you need to really push your vision?
Yes. Definitely the right team. Finding the right core values with people that you can work with, because you can't work with everybody. And what I've found over the years, you have to find a team that has similar core values and work ethic. Yes, experience and qualifications are fine, but if you don't have the right core values and everybody moving in the same direction, you're going to find yourself in problems. So I'm working on that in the process, and the team is coming along quite well. But it's a process. You don't have it all together. But with my international consultants, they're helping me build out the team as well. And I am so thankful that I can lean on them as well. I remember when we first started the journey, I was told that it's like a marriage. The process of consultants, the project consultants, and the franchisor. It's like a marriage. And we are going to agree back. And the process has been a really good one with my consultants. I can reach out to them. I can ask them anything. And it's not if I'm bothering them or it's a burden, they're always willing to work with me. The experience was a first for me. I've never worked with international consultants, but it has been a very good experience for me. I've learned a lot from working with them, honestly. I'm really grateful for the experience to work with them. I think my life has changed. I'm not the same person I was years ago. It has changed me into I'm more sharper. I see things differently. So it's been a really good journey, honestly. I'm enjoying it.
Well, that's good. I mean, you mentioned something about having a consultant, a franchising consultant being like a marriage. And I was thinking that, when I talk about equity investment in some of the courses I teach, we talk about, having an investor in your business is like a marriage. So I wanted to pivot a little bit and say, have you thought about having an investor or giving up a little piece of your company in exchange for, financing?
I know. Yes, I know. Yes,
I know.
It would have to be the right fit. As I said, it has to be the right fit. And if it's the right fit, sure. And if it's not, it just is not.
No, well, that's an honest answer, because I think, as I say to the folks, the entrepreneurs that I train, they could be offering you the world, but if you don't feel that there's a common vision, a common perspective, they don't, you're not of like mind, then it's going to be a problem. So that's what I mean by being a marriage. So you've had experience with a consultant, so you kind of know what you're looking for in terms of fit.
Exactly.
Right? Because an investor is supposed to bring along the mentoring and the access to networks and so on, similar to what you have now.
Exactly. Because even when I first attended the first international show, I met different international consultants. And what I did was I had a meeting. I narrowed it down to 3. And I had a meeting with all 3 of them. And the one that I chose is the one that I'm working with now. I am so glad that I chose franchise marketing consultants.
So why that one?
What for me is so unique. When the president is Mr. Chris Connor, and when he first introduced me to the entire team, he said, she's the real one. He said that. And when he says the directive, Shawna needs this, I'm going to be honest with you, in less than an hour, I get a response. Every time he says, Shawna needs this, I would get a response within an hour.
So they're very responsive.
Not only that, the entire team, because there's at least 10 different consultants I work with, all of them have been nothing but professional and polite and so willing to help. Anything that I need, I don't have, or we need to get this, and we would do Zoom meetings. We would, flesh it out back and forth until we get it right. To me, they make the process much easier. Something that can be so difficult and daunting, they made it much more beautiful, the process.
Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't have known that at the very beginning when you interviewed those 3 candidates. So my question was, I mean, that's a bonus finding out that afterwards, right? But at the beginning, when you're sitting in front of these folks, was it instinct? Was it your gut feeling that this was a fit?
I think it was some of both. I listened to what they were willing to offer.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do? I listened, and it was some of listening to what they offer and the cost. And then, to be quite honest, I said, like sometimes someone can overpromise and underdeliver.
Yes.
I picked up some of that. Like,
So it was a gut decision in some ways, right?
Yes. And I haven't regretted the decision. And this is years after, I haven't regretted the decision. Franchise marketing assistance for me is it. We're in it for life, whatever we work it out.
Good. So let me ask you in closing, any last words of wisdom? You've really given us some good gems here. Any last tips that you want to share?
As female entrepreneurs, I would encourage us to stay focused despite the challenges that as females we are faced with. We are mothers, we are mentors, we are aunts, we are caregivers, we take care of families, communities. And a lot is on our shoulders. But as women, I want to encourage us to give back to ourselves, be gentle with ourselves, find time away from the crowd to replenish, and go again. Don't give up. Don't mind negativity. People may say you may not be able to achieve your dreams and goals. Ignore them and focus and go deep within yourself. And you will find the answers that you need deep within.
Great. Thank you so much, Shawna. This has been a great discussion and you've given us a lot to think about. I'm so happy that you are looking at franchising. I think you're probably the only fast food restaurant in the Caribbean that I know of, certainly, that's looking at this. And I really think this would be a welcome addition to the landscape, not only going international, obviously, but in the region itself. Because as you know, a lot of the fast food chains don't necessarily pay attention to healthy options. So this is really a good addition. And hopefully, you'll close some of these deals you're looking at.
Yes.
And I really am happy we had this conversation and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Most appreciated for the opportunity as well. Thank you.